Join me as I dive into some of the scariest true horror stories that are sure to give me nightmares. Let's see if I can handle it. You know, there's something about real-life horror stories that just sends chills down our spines. I think it's because they tap into our deepest fears, the unknown, the unexplained, and the terrifying possibility that it could happen to us. These stories aren't just fictional tales. They're actual events that have left scars on people's lives. Our brains are wired to fear things we can't control or understand. It's like our minds are constantly on the lookout for potential threats, and when we hear about something horrific that has happened to someone else, it's like a switch flips, and suddenly, we're on high alert. These true horror stories do just that. They exploit our fear of the unknown and make us wonder if we could be next. It's also interesting how our surroundings can play a huge role in making these stories even more terrifying. Imagine hearing a strange noise in an abandoned house or walking alone in a deserted alleyway. Our environment can heighten our senses, making us more susceptible to fear. And that's exactly what these stories do. They put us in the shoes of the victims and make us feel like we're experiencing the horror firsthand. These stories aren't just about jump scares or creepy settings. They're about the psychological impact they have on us. When we hear about something traumatic that has happened to someone, it's like our minds try to process it, to make sense of it. But sometimes, there just isn't any logical explanation, and that's what makes it so scary. The Dyatlov Pass incident is one such story that still baffles me to this day. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers and mountaineers embarked on an expedition to the Ural Mountains. Several weeks later, their bodies were found, and what happened to them is still a mystery. Some were found with severe internal injuries, while others had radiation poisoning. The weird thing is that there was no explanation for what happened, no signs of struggle, no wild animals in the area, and no inclement weather. Then there's the case of the Winchester Mystery House. This mansion in California was built in the late 19th century by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the Winchester rifle heir. The house is famous for its labyrinthine layout and strange architectural features, like doors that open into walls. But what makes it truly terrifying is the story behind its construction. Sarah believed that the house was haunted by the spirits of people killed by Winchester rifles, and she built it to confuse and appease them. The Amityville Horror is another story that sends shivers down my spine. In 1974, a family moved into a large Dutch colonial house in Amityville, Long Island. However, their stay was short-lived. They claimed to have experienced supernatural occurrences, including moving objects and unexplained noises. What makes this story even more chilling is that it's based on real events. One of the most iconic cases of a haunting is the Bell Witch. This legend revolves around the Bell family, who lived in Tennessee in the early 19th century. They reported experiencing physical attacks and unexplained noises, which they attributed to a malevolent spirit. What stands out about this story is the intensity and duration of the haunting. It went on for years, with numerous witnesses. One moment that still gives me chills is when the hikers' bodies were found in the Dyatlov Pass incident, with some of them having severe internal injuries and others having radiation poisoning. The mystery surrounding their deaths is what makes it so unsettling. These stories might be unsettling, but it's essential to remember that they're based on real events. People suffered and in some cases lost their lives. If you've got your own scary experiences, or if one of these stories stood out to you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more chilling content.